Welcome back to episode 43 of Working Towards Our Purpose. Thank you for being here. Today, I want to talk about the upper limit problem. And before we get into that, I'm going to start the episode with some positive things from last week, like I did last week. So first positive thing, my new single came out last Thursday. So that is on all streaming platforms. If you are so inclined to check it out. I really like it, and a little bit of a new direction, but having fun with the singles project for 2025 of recording, writing, releasing a new song for each month. That was positive. I got that one out. It was my 7th of the year, and I also was able to revisit the library this week. I had a library book that was over a year overdue. It was this book that I took out and it was really good. And I initially wanted to record a podcast with the author of that book and never really got around to it. But I kept the book thinking that I would one day. So I ended up rereading it and then returning it. And luckily, the New Haven Public Library Systems does not have late fees. So as soon as I returned it, I was able to take out another book. And I think the library is like such a great resource that I always forget is there. So I'm going to be definitely using it more often. I took out another book and looking forward to trying to get it back in the suggested time frame this time. So getting a little bit better at reading. I think I might be able to do it. Looking forward to keep using the library because I think it's such a great resource that is there for everyone, and want to keep using it. And the other thing that was exciting from last week, I found out that New Haven is doing a TEDx talk again this year. And they did one a couple years back, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. It was like right when I moved to New Haven, and I went, and it was cool. But I saw a posting online for it, and they were looking for speakers. And at first I was like, oh, that'd be really cool if I could do it. But then I quickly talked myself out of it, but then I talked myself back into it. So I think I will apply to be a TEDx speaker. I'm kind of coming up with my thesis now, I guess, my point of the talk. And I have until the 15th of August to apply and kind of see where it goes from there. But I'm really excited. I think it could be a really good, challenging thing for me. I think I kind of have a topic. I'm just working on narrowing it down. So more to come on that, but really looking forward to applying to that and hopefully getting in because they actually work with you. They have, I guess, like speaker coaches that kind of work with you a little bit to like hone in your topic and, get you better at it and stuff like that. So I think that would be a really cool opportunity. And it would just be a great thing to do, a good accomplishment. And he also had a great weekend. It was beautiful weather this weekend, and I did a farmer's market this weekend for South Haven Farms. Stephanie at South Haven Farms, I covered for her this weekend, and shout out for her for letting me do that and trusting me with selling her produce because I had a great time. Got to see some familiar faces. It was the farmer's market that I managed last year, so it's just a really great day. I really enjoyed doing it, enjoyed being back vending at farmers markets. Something I did in the past and always enjoyed doing farmers markets. And then at the end of the day, Caitlin from Sunset Farms ended up giving Relished Roots, me and my business partner Sam's company, Relished Roots, a bunch of cabbage for us to ferment into sauerkraut. So shout out to Caitlin for all of that cabbage that she gave us. I don't know how many pounds it was, but it was quite a bit. So looking forward to turning it into some kraut and to giving her some kraut for it. And it was kind of like a barter system. She was like, if I give you a bunch of this kraut, or if I give you a bunch of this cabbage, will you turn it into kraut and give me some? Because I just don't have the time to make it. And I was like, yeah, definitely. So just a cool reminder, like the farmer's market culture of bartering. I really enjoy that, like being able to give somebody something for something else. There's no money exchange, but kind of just trading of goods and services. I really like that model of taking money out of the equation. So yeah, that was really cool. And it was really cool to just be back at the markets this weekend. And it was such a, again, beautiful weather weekend. So yeah, so a little bit more about market stuff later on. Have an example of what we're going to talk about today. But yeah, to get into the topic of today, the upper limit problem. It is an idea that comes from this book that I read called The Big Leap, and it's by Gay Hendricks. And one of the major takeaways from this book is the upper limit problem, and like what it is and how it holds us back and how we hold ourselves back. But to define like what the upper limit problem is, it's pretty much like a sort of, Hendricks describes it in his book as this thermostat that we have for ourselves, that is like the acceptable limit of love, success, wealth, creativity, and anything that you can get in life. It's this limit that we have on ourselves, like this self-imposed, almost we don't even really realize limit that's there. And basically, this limit that we give ourselves kind of limits us in our lives. So, if we're doing well in one area or if something good is happening to us, we tend to then kind of drive negativity towards us, or almost envision something bad happening to us, starting to feel bad about a situation. This upper limit problem basically turns down the positive feelings that we are getting from something that's happening to us, like a good thing that's happening. For example, when I was a kid, I would always think like anytime something good happened, like if we were, going on a vacation or something, and I was feeling like happy and I was like, oh, this is great. Like, this is a good thing that's happening. I would always kind of wait for there would be a point at which I would be like, oh, a good thing's happening. That means a bad thing's going to happen next. And then I would kind of then be afraid of this bad thing happening. And I don't know if you can relate to that. But yeah, just this impending feeling of oh, there's going to be a bad thing happening because that there's a good thing happening. And what this book, Big Leap, describes is that kind of comes from this inner feeling of you don't deserve good things, or you're not worthy of good things. So, a good thing happens to you and maybe you can feel happy and, be in the moment for a little bit, but then this voice starts to be a subconscious voice, you're not really thinking of it in this way, but the subconscious voice kind of tells you oh, you're not good enough. You don't deserve this good thing. So then you start to bring yourself down. You start to feel bad. You start to have bad feelings. You start to, in my example, worry about a negative thing that's going to happen. And in this book, he kind of challenges you to think about this limit that you have and to challenge it and to try to increase the capacity of it. Because if you can increase your upper limit capacity, then you can increase the amount of success, wealth, love that you accept and that you accept for yourself. So it's kind of this idea of, I think it's a lot of similar things that, people have talked about before, knowing your worth, a lot of people say, and things like that. But it kind of culminates it into a more tangible idea, at least for me, to think about this literal limit that you have on yourself. And you're the one that's kind of put that there from whatever circumstances, maybe something happened to you as a kid, or, however you interpreted it. Maybe somebody, a parental figure told you to worry about something, or, don't be too happy because bad things happen. And, just the sort of negative outlook on life that people can have. And, it can come from a protection sort of standpoint, but it really can affect you as far as this upper limit. And so this one idea of increasing your upper limit can have a huge effect on your life. And the amount of success that you can basically, what's the word, like accept or withstand. I challenge you to like notice that maybe, or to think about an example in the past of like when a good thing has happened. Were you able to kind of just enjoy it and like ride that good feeling into the next good feeling, or did something come up that was negative? And another good example that comes up in the book is the example of lottery winners. A lot of people who win the lottery, win like a big sum of money in the lottery, will tend to either lose it or, a lot of them, I think there was stats on like people who like actually died after winning the lottery, like shortly after, or lost everything. And, kind of just this idea, I guess, of, average people who win a crazy amount of money that they never imagined before. And now all of a sudden they have all this money, and just this kind of guilt that you are perhaps have, or maybe deep down you don't believe that you deserve this big sum of money. So then you start making bad choices and you start either spending it or maybe doing risky behavior or something like that. And that's kind of, again, your upper limit problem. And it kind of goes into different areas of your life too. So like if you are very successful in monetary values, you get a lot of money, then maybe you might start sabotaging other areas of your life, like your relationships. Another example is a lot of business owners that become very wealthy will start to sabotage their relationships, and maybe, they'll cheat on their partner, or, just start to sabotage the relationships that they have with people. And it's again, this upper limit problem of like, okay, I got a bunch of money, but now I don't believe that I can be wealthy and also like receive love from relationships. This idea I've wanted to talk about on the podcast for a little bit, because I think it was hugely impactful for me. And this weekend was kind of a good example, I think, and like it reminded me of the upper limit. So of the upper limit problem. So I had like a great time at the market this weekend, and I was driving home and I was like feeling really good, really happy. Sort of like, I don't know how to describe it, but I will try. I was basically feeling like, when I was a kid and I was like going on vacation, or like maybe Christmas morning type feeling of like when you're like just really happy. And I felt that for like maybe a minute, and then I kept driving, and then I noticed that my thoughts were going towards negative things. And I was like, oh, well, what about this thing that I have to do? Or how am I going to figure this other thing out? Or how am I going to do this? And then I automatically noticed that feeling was gone. And it lasted for like, I don't know, probably less than a minute. And then I went down the negative rabbit hole for a little bit. And then I realized that this was my upper limit problem. I was like, oh, I had a really good day, like ideal day. I got paid very well for the job that I did. And I immediately just started thinking like, oh, that'll never happen again. Or, that was a one-time thing. Can't do that again. Just, thinking of other things that didn't have to do with that moment, in a negative way. And then I realized that like, okay, I'm hitting my upper limit problem here, because I had a really good day. I really enjoyed the day. Like everything went well. There was unexpected things that came towards me that I wasn't expecting. And then I was like, okay, I don't deserve this. Let's think about something bad so we could sabotage this feeling. And in like real time, I was sort of facing this upper limit problem. So what I was able to do was kind of acknowledge that it was that upper limit problem. And I couldn't get that good feeling back, but at least I was able to still feel good. I wasn't like feeling amazing, but I was still feeling good about my day. It was just really interesting, because it was, like I said, live sort of example scenario of me hitting my upper limit. It's just really interesting. And I think just being aware of this upper limit can really be helpful in situations like this, because I could have, maybe if I didn't read this book, I could have went down this rabbit hole of, thinking about something negative. And by the time I got home, I could have been frustrated, annoyed, even mad maybe about like how I was feeling, but not even realizing like why I started feeling bad, because I just felt great. So it's really nice to have this language, I think, around this sort of behavior that we can fall into as humans. And I just wanted to share that idea. So maybe it can help you if you notice this in your life. And then, the last thing is like, well, what do we do about it? Like, we know that could be a problem. You can read about it in this book, The Big Leap. And, what do you do from there? And I'm not sure the book actually gave much advice. Maybe I'm forgetting, so forgive me, Hendricks. But I don't remember like giving any specific. I could be wrong on that, but anyways, as I was like kind of planning for this episode, I thought about, what do we do about that? Like, how do we increase our ability to deserve more or feel like we're worthy of getting more? And one, I think, is acknowledging it and realizing that this is happening. And then I think the second thing we can do is to practice feeling good. And that kind of sounds simple. But I like to meditate, and perhaps we'll have an episode on meditation in the future. But while you're meditating, if you've never meditated before, basically the idea of it is to try to get rid of all your thoughts, to not think about the things that are constantly going through your head every single day. And there's, I don't know how many thousands of thoughts or hundreds or whatever it is. But when you're meditating, you're supposed to like acknowledge the thoughts and then let them go and try to just be still and in the present moment. So you kind of try to focus on like maybe nothing. But I think a good way of maybe trying to extend our upper limit is, while you're meditating, focus on like a good feeling, like focus on something in the past or maybe something that you're making up for the future, something that makes you feel good, and just focus on that as much as you can and try to like feel what it feels like to feel good and to like keep bringing yourself back to it. So, you can think about, like for my example, like think about that feeling I had as I was driving home before I sabotaged myself. Think about that feeling and just sit there and try to sit with that feeling and try to like accept it. And that's what I did today when I meditated. I like tried to sit on that feeling, and like it would go away, and then I'd remind myself of it and I'd come back to it, and to try to just like practice accepting good and accepting like positivity and feeling good. And I think that could be a really good way to try to extend our upper limit and to practice. Maybe that's something you can go try if you meditate already, or maybe if you've never meditated before. I think it's a great thing to start. Always a good thing to do. You don't need to know how to do it. You can, just sit there and try to not think about anything or let your thoughts go. So the idea isn't to like not think about anything, but to let the thoughts go. So, trying to just really focus on like feeling positive and what that feels like. So hopefully that made sense. Kind of went a little off course describing meditation, but yeah, the idea of this upper limit problem and us being the one that kind of sabotages the goodness that can come to us, the positivity that can come to us, the success, love, wealth, all those things. And if we can sort of extend our limit to accept more, to think about like the world in an abundance mindset instead of it being limited, then we can accept more good to us, and we can look out and see more opportunities around us. And there's no telling like what you can do with that or what you can build with that, or, just so many possibilities, so many positive things. So I really like this idea of the upper limit problem that Gay Hendricks brought to us in this book, The Big Leap. I'll link the book or I'll put a link to the book in the show notes so you can get to it if you want. I also did a little book review for The Big Leap on my Substack. So if you're interested in reading a little bit more about the book and what it does well, you can go to my Substack, follow me on Substack, and read that article. And lastly, you can always sign up for a dream/purpose chat with me. I'll leave a link in the show notes. There should be a link in every episode where you can sign up for a free 30-minute chat, and we just talk about your dreams and what it is that you want to chase. So always love talking to people about what they're excited about. So if you want to do that, you can sign up. And I think that's all I got for you today. Hopefully this was helpful. Thank you for listening as always, and I will see you next week.